Well, folks, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this story that's developing down at the border with the trucker convoy, but in the words of the late, great Waylon Jennings, this MAGA cult bit has done gotten out of hand, okay? It's way out of hand. We have crossed over to a brand new level of insanity. And there's so many things to talk about. There's so many things to point out, and hypocrisy being number one. Delusion is going to be talked about, and just downright insanity is going to be talked about, because that's what this is. Now, they're going down there, and they're going to defend this country. They're going to protect the border because Biden won't do it. So they're going to go protect the border, right? And I have saw footage of these very same people talking about how that they went and defended it on January 6th, and now they're going to have to do it again. But wait a minute. I thought it was Black Lives Matter on January 6th. I thought it was Antifa on January 6th. I thought it was all a staged event to make y'all look bad. But now you're saying out loud that you got to go down there and protect the border because Biden won't do it. And these people are actually baptizing people while they do this. And they can't baptize them in the river because they're fighting to defend the barbed wire that's in the river to keep people from coming here. So are they baptizing people in the name of Jesus or Donald Trump? I'm confused, because if they were baptizing people in the name of Jesus, Jesus said, "Suffer the little children to come unto me." Jesus talked about helping your neighbor. If these people were true Christians, they would be down at the border helping the people cross and being there to comfort them, to clothe them, to feed them, to give them something to drink. That's what Jesus taught to do. So I really don't believe they're baptizing in the name of Jesus Christ. I believe they're baptizing in the name of Donald Trump and his ideology. And to make matters even more insane, guess who else showed up to cheer him on? Ted Nugent and Sarah Palin. Listen, when Ted Nugent and Sarah Palin is who shows up on your behalf, then your whole mission in life is destroyed. You've got no more ground to stand on if that's who you've got coming to your aid to cheer you on. It's one of the craziest things that I've ever seen. And it's only going to get crazier as long as Donald Trump is in the political arena and as long as he's allowed to just run rampant. But what we got to understand is we're not up against a political party anymore. Donald Trump and MAGA is not a political party because there's nothing Republican about them. There's nothing conservative about them. There's nothing Christian about them. They don't fall into those categories anymore. We're at the part in the Jonestown and the Waco documentaries now where things started getting really weird. And I've always talked and compared Donald Trump to Jim Jones and all the cult leaders. Well, if you study them enough, you'll notice that most of them started out just a regular church, just regular people going back and forth to church every Sunday. And, you know, the preacher was charismatic and people in town liked him. And hell, Jim Jones had pictures with the Carters when Jimmy Carter was in office. At one point, Jim Jones was a respected minister. No one really thought that his whole mission would get out of hand, but it slowly started getting weird, and people started saying, hey, wait a minute, Jim Jones is saying this, and wait a minute, he's instructing his flock to do this. And suddenly we all started turning and looking in that direction going, holy crap, there's some strange things happening now down in Jonestown, and that's where we're at here. This might have started off with Donald Trump running for president. This might have started off with Republicans getting behind him because he had an R beside of his name, but now we are in a completely different realm. And we are no longer up against a political party. We're up against a cult who is willing to go to whatever lengths their leader tells them to. And they're telling on themselves every step of the way. So just make sure that you save their post. Make sure you save their status updates, their tweets, everything they put out into the world. Because when things gets bad for them, they're going to try to turn and say that this was not them doing any of these things. They'll try to blame it once again on Black Lives Matter and Antifa and anybody else. They'll blame it on Danny Bonaducci if possible. Okay, they'll blame it on anybody out there because that's the type of people we're dealing with. That is the type of rhetoric we're up against. And if they're getting crazier by the minute, imagine what they will become if he were to be reelected. Imagine the power they will then think they have. They're going to be running and taking the law into their hands every time he says so. And that, folks, should make anybody's alarm go off and say, wait a minute, something ain't right here. And I've said all along, it's not about both sides. If you guys want to sit here and debate with me on whether or not pineapple goes on a pizza, we'll talk about it all day long. You want to talk the Beatles and the Stones? I'll talk it all day long with you. Okay? But this is not something we can have a both sides argument about. This is not something that we can entertain. And these are not a group of people that deserves 1 ounce of credibility, because they are not a political party anymore. They are a cult, and they are a danger to us all. And all they're doing by going down there is they're trying to have a stage up prop kind of moment where they have a show and a big spectacle. They're trying to put on some sort of WWE event, but they don't realize the danger that they're causing, and also just the further division that they're driving home. Now, if you expect them to turn to me and say, unite with us, we're down here baptizing each other at the border while we kick people out of the country. No, I'm not going to shake your hand. I'm not going to get behind that. There's not 2 sides to that. That is batshit insanity, and it should be called out at every turn.